So long-time viewers of my channel might remember that in 2019 I released a one-level demo for a game called Extraction Point that I was working on in GameGuru. Extraction Point is a game set in the Middle East. It would have had about 5, maybe 6 levels originally, although that was slowly growing as I realised that GameGuru couldn't kind of handle the size and the scope of each level I was working on. And the playthrough that I did of that opening level got quite a few views. But that wasn't the only level that I made, and in fact there were actually a couple more that I was working on. So what I thought I'd do is take a look back at some of those old levels that I started but didn't finish, starting today with the next level, the second level of Extraction Point. So if you remember the end of the first level, you just bumped into the antagonist of the game, the Shah. He's a sort of head of a terrorist organisation, and you've been incapacitated, and he tells his men to get rid of you, to throw you in the river, basically. And so there would have been a sort of transitional cutscene that would have shown you floating down the river and getting knocked unconscious, hitting a rock or something, and going over a waterfall. And so this level picks up several hours later. It's now night time, and you have washed up on the banks of the river. So a little bit like with the first level, you start kind of lying down, but I automated the getting up process this time. And just a little prompt there to tell you that you've got a flashlight. And this opening area you can't actually escape from because there is an invisible wall, because you need to acquire a radio first. Hopefully that's placed literally in your line of sight. So here's your trusty radio.
Hello? This is Major Thompson. I can't believe you're still alive. After we lost contact, we landed and tried to search for you, but we got ambushed and separated. I think I'm all that's left. Give me a few moments to zero in on your location.
So, our objectives currently to acquire a weapon, because of course we've washed downstream with nothing. I really wanted this level to have a very particular look and feel to it. This is a custom sort of dusky skybox. We'll see a little bit more of it later on as we progress. It's actually a really large level, and yeah, GameGuru was struggling to deal with this scope of level. So I had to split it in two later on, but yeah, for the purposes of this playthrough, we'll do it all in one go. So, without any weapons, you will need to sneak past potential threats, monitor enemy patrol patterns, and pick your moment wisely. Press E to continue. So, yeah, just evade enemy forces is our new objective, and so over the brow of this hill there is a small encampment with a patrolling enemy. These enemies are the same ones from the first level, except I can't remember in the first level if they wield AK-47s or not, but these ones do. And so the idea is you have to kind of sneak past. This build of the level was done very recently, using the November Fixes build, so it should run a little bit better, but I don't think I'm going to get 60 FPS out of it simply because the level is so big. I've had to do a few tweaks to the lighting. Not every entity is lit properly. I mean, this table here doesn't look quite right, and this truck here is also, as we'll see in a second, very shiny. This level was started, and well, really most of the work was done on it before PBR was added to GameGuru, so it wasn't really designed with that in mind. And even the first level of Extraction Point, I had to go back into that late in production and kind of change a few elements to make them a little bit more suited to PBR.
I've been in contact with base. They're arranging an extraction for me at dawn from the nearby town of El Gem. If you can get here before then, we can both get out. It's the other side of the mountain range to you, but let me see if I can plot you a route.
So the name El Gem is actually a town in Tunisia. It's famous for having a big Roman amphitheatre. I went there in 2013, and yeah, long before Extraction Point was ever thought of, but I really wanted the final level of the game to take place in a Roman amphitheatre, and so that's the reason for that name. A little callback to that, I suppose. What we've got here is a little situation. Obviously we've got no weapons, so we've got to sneak around these enemies. There's also a little sort of situation going on here. These two guards up ahead are standing over a kind of a corpse with a sheet over it, and there's a symbol on the wall. We'll see that a few times as we progress through this town, but the idea being that something terrible has happened in this town, And really the insinuation is that this terrorist organisation has committed some atrocity, but as we progress further on, we'll actually find out that it wasn't them that did it. So you can try and go around the town itself, but you will be shot. So very much trying to funnel the player into this little construction site here, and try and work our way around. So a little bit of evasion required to get around these forces. So there is an enemy over there with an AK, so just got to be careful to avoid him. And a little bit of a, not a jumping puzzle as such, but got to traverse this level a little bit, try and avoid enemy fire. And hop over the barbed wire. And actually I could have made that in one jump, but I didn't. Oh, if you mess up, there's this box here that allows you to kind of get back on the little platform that you're on. Okay, so we're up on this roof now. A little bit of environmental storytelling here with a chessboard and an ashtray and stuff. I'm going to sneak on top of this roof just so I can show you a little bit more of the town. So hopefully we don't get spotted by any of the patrolling soldiers at the bottom. You can see down there we've got a road sign that says Al Gem, 8 kilometres, and we've also got another body down there with a sheet covering it. That's a custom asset. Very quickly modelled, it has to be said. There's actually a couple of patrolling enemies. And looking back in hindsight, this is a little bit of a silly idea, but I needed a way to cross from one side of the street to the other, so I just basically used some polygonal collision on these power lines, and literally you just run across them. Whoa, okay. Yep, we've been spotted. Fortunately I turned on regenerating health, so that won't be too much of a problem, but I'm going to get across to the other side of the street quickly. Get onto that roof. Okay, so lighting, I'm always trying to use lighting to sort of guide your eye lines, guide the way, so wherever there's light is a place that you should be trying to go. So I'm trying to create a specific ambience, but also trying to help with wayfinding as well. These buildings have come from one of the model packs that came with GameGuru. So they're not custom. Some of them date back to the old FPSC days. Don't quite know where that soldier went. I think he's gone. So we've got to make it up onto this roof. And yeah, you can take another little look here at the carnage down there. So there's obviously been some, as I say, some killing going on in the streets. And so you can see how big this level is now, because you've got a whole nother section of the town over there that you're going to go and explore. But we can't get there yet. There is actually a gate across the bridge. You can't cross the river, so we're going to have to find a way to get around that. So I'll drop into this little square, and I'm being shot at. Yep, he can see me through the gate, but he can't get to me. So I'll hide in this shop. Whoa, okay, I am being murdered. So obviously, with this map still being very much a work in progress, I hadn't ironed out all the kinks. The script is smart enough, though, that if he doesn't spot me, he will go back to his patrol route. So hopefully I can just sort of go back through the shop and maybe avoid his gunfire again. And then, yeah, he's gone up to the gate, so I'm going to cross over.
Okay, there is a mountain path to El Gem, but after what happened earlier, I'm not keen on sending you that way. We had intel a while back about an abandoned mine somewhere in that sector. That would lead you right through unnoticed, assuming you can find an entrance.
Okay, so we've evaded the enemy forces now, and we have to go inside this tower and find a way to open the gate that will lead us onto this bridge. But there are a few challenges on the way up. We've got a little jumping puzzle here. The idea was that some of these boxes would be movable, and I was still toying around with how exactly to make that work. This is an old version of the carry script. I'm not even sure if this is the version that was in the version of Extraction Point that I released. but you don't actually need to kind of do all that. And there is a little bit of a bug here because your weapons are held in this little sort of fenced off area, and you need a key to get in. Except the trouble is, because the pickups for the weapons are based on proximity, you can actually stand close to the wall and you can actually pick up all of your weapons through the wall. So that's something that I would have needed to have worked on. And that's actually quite handy because this key, which is actually dynamic in GameGuru, for some reason when you build the game, is static. So you can't actually pick up the key for the for this sort of secure space. So I'm actually going to just hug the wall and pick up all my guns through the wall. Is that all of them? So we've got our pistol from the first level, we've got our Dragunov sniper rifle, and we've got our AK as well. I think we're just missing a little bit of ammo down there. I don't think we'll get that, unfortunately, but well, we've got one of them. So if we head to the top of the tower, we'll just explore this a little bit further. I was very keen on getting this poster in various formats across the level. This is the Shah. Wanted to make his presence felt across the level, so lots of propaganda. So his symbol is on all of the uniforms of the men that are sort of running around this town, and it's also on various billboards, and it's on the side of the black jeeps as well. So yeah, I really wanted to kind of get that feeling across that he's really taken control of this whole district. So if we head out onto this little gantry, there are some gate controls here that will allow us to open the gate to get across the bridge to the other side of the town, and it will also open the gates to this little bit of the town here and spawn in a couple of enemies. So now that we have weapons, we're now going to have a little firefight to get across the bridge. So I will run back downstairs and let's see if we can't deal with some of these enemies. In fact, we can probably take out one right here. The AI in GameGuru is obviously not the best. All of these weapons come from BSP's weapons pack, although the sound effects are custom. Some of them are, at least. I'm not sure if I made all of them custom. Okay, well I could go around the town and kill off a few more guys. You could argue that you don't have to go through the construction site. The other way to get round the town is to go this sort of back route, and I figured players might try and do that. There's not much to see here, but there is an enemy waiting for you, and he's got a lot of health. So if you do try and go around, you probably will be murdered. So we could go back through the town, but I'm going to try and progress onwards. Hopefully my progress won't be slowed down by any other enemies. So as I said, I had to divide the level in two, and this was originally where there was a win zone and it would load in the second part of the level. That was done for performance reasons because it's having to render an awful lot at once. But I still don't think if I'd have packaged it all as one thing, it would have ran very well. So we've come across here, and now it's time for a little bit of a firefight. Oh my god, I am going to... Because I wasn't able to pick up that last box of AK ammo in the tower, I don't have an awful lot. And you can see the frame rate struggling here. Ow. Is that everybody? No. Oh my god, there's one right there. You'd think I'd know my own enemy placement by now, but obviously not. One thing that's not working in this demo, clearly, or in this unfinished level, is the ammo counter. Always quite like the view you get from this side of town if you come up here. You can really see that custom skybox I made now. Although the frame rate looks like it's really struggling. Yeah, 23. This is not good. It's having to render the entire town. It's really struggling quite a lot. Player movement is significantly reduced with a lower frame rate. Now, is that everybody? Did I kill them all? So we've got a little bit of the town here, but there are kind of invisible walls here stopping you going off and exploring everything. And really, the idea is to funnel you in towards this building, which looks a little bit different to the others, and the reason is because it's not an entity. All of these are kind of pre-built entities. This is a building that was made in the Easy Building Editor. That's why the window looks, well, let's be honest, terrible. But if we go inside, this is where there'll be a little bit of story. See, shadows aren't rendering very well. That's GameGuru for you. But there's obviously been a lot of commotion in here, and if we head upstairs, we can get into this room, and this was originally going to be a character that was going to talk to us, and his family would have been murdered, and there's that symbol. We've been seeing it a lot recently, and he was going to say that he originally thought that the Shah did all this, him and his men, but actually it was someone that wore our uniform, so it was a British officer, hence the kind of quite on the nose Union Jack symbol that we've been seeing a lot. That's what that means. And yeah, so he was going to ask us to get out of the house. We're going to jump through this window and progress on to the final part of the level, which yes, there is still more. So we leave the town at this point and make our way up towards the mine. Just to remind you what our objectives are looking like. So we have acquired a weapon and we have evaded the enemy forces, and we now need to locate the abandoned mine. And in case you missed it in the radio message earlier, we are trying to link up with Major Thompson, who's been speaking to us this whole time on the radio.
Your signal's breaking up, which must be entering the mine. See if I can meet you halfway.
So we've located the mine. After that firefight, I decided I didn't want any enemies here, but this was definitely the part of the level that was least fleshed out, so there's not a huge amount going on here. Well, there's another one of those symbols there, so our murderous British officer has obviously come through here. Oh, so this is interesting. So obviously, when you try and cut into mountains and stuff, GameGuru doesn't have a way to sort of do some sort of Boolean operation to actually cut away into a mesh. So you kind of have to fake it. So this is all part of a cave construction kit that I think I bought off the store. And the plan was that, you know, you can see I've had to flatten the terrain where I wanted the actual mine segments to be. And the plan was I was going to model a whole sort of cliff face here to match with the cliff face of the terrain, so it all sort of blended in as one. I never got around to doing that, unfortunately, so it just sort of looks a bit out of place, but it is an unfinished level after all. So we need to open this gate. It says this gate is opened elsewhere, so we now need to fight against the low frame rate and make our way up into the little office area, which is part of this complex. I think I probably would have hidden a bit of ammo around here as well had I finished the level, but again, there's a lot of commotion here, and very important that when you're having a sort of a player interactable object that you show what the interaction does, so it's quite clear that that opens the gate. I'm not sure why it briefly closed there for a second, but anyway, so that's the end of the second level of Extraction Point, and in the next video I'm going to go on to show you what happens in the third unfinished level down in the mines. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.